Imagine an anime filled with some of the most badass, crazy, evilest historical people from the past, like Nobunaga, Joan of Arc, Rasputin for some reason, all put in a whole new world where their previous world they were either betrayed, murdered, defeated by their fellow people or just somebody else in general, and they're given a second chance to either rule the world or be defeated. There's dragons, there's Japanese Zero planes shooting down dragons, and goddamn, that's pretty badass when you see that in the beginning of the anime. You got Joan of Arc, who has the power of flames. She can manipulate them and just burn everybody in her path. You got Lord Nobunaga, who's obsessed with elf shit because he wants to make gunpowder. He's so passionate about making this gunpowder with poop. I don't know why he's so intricate about this poop, but he is. We got all the type of mythical creatures in this world as well. You got elves, you got normal humans, you got pigmen, you got dwarves, you get dragons. What more could you ask in this anime? There's so many crazy shit that's going down in this, and with all these historical figures leading these armies of all these mythical beings. If you're all interested in that, we got the anime just for you.
What's up guys, I'm Christina.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to Average Anime Reviews, where we get to be reviewing some of our favorite animes they have watched in the previous season. Now before we get started, just so you guys know, there's going to be a few spoilers here and there in this review, so please take some precaution.
And for this week's anime, we're going to be reviewing Drifters, or how I say, Drifters.
And basically what this anime is all about is having these historical figures throughout the ages being drifted into another world where, well, basically they make an impact for themselves in their own way. With the dialogue in the anime, you can see that it's very strategic. Basically, when you step into a new world, well, it gets really weird. Obviously, you don't know where you are, and plus you have no idea what you're doing here, but you just go with it, and basically you meet along some friends along the way. Or should I say some allies. Basically, you have a common goal, and well, you just want to change the world in your own way. And with the relationships between these allies, well, let's just say it's the camaraderie and the brotherhood, kind of like in their past life. It gets really interesting from there because they bring something different to the table. And before they get transported, or should I say drifted, to a different world, well, let's just say that they meet up with this one guy that kind of looks like an office worker. And I have no idea what his name was, and since the guy who's the office worker who technically sends the drifters into a new reality, let's just say that he has another problem dealing with his hands at the moment. And turns out it has to deal with some lady who represents darkness. And apparently the people that she sends onto the new reality as the drifters, well, they're kind of like ghosts, kind of like these weird, horrible, evil spirits, kind of like I would say the family of a Grim Reaper. And it gets really interesting from there. And it turns out the enemies of the drifters are known as ends. And basically in the anime, since it did start off with 3, turns out that these 3 main characters really wanted to change the world, as I said previously. And it all began when they started to see the worlds of how the elves have been living their day-to-day lives. And how they're being oppressed by, well, the monarchy that they've been living by. Let's just say that the monarchy is, well, just bad blood anyway, and it's just really painful to see. Basically, these 3 guys want to do something right. It turns out in the past reality, in their previous life, even though they were the bad guys, well, they want to have a brand change, a change of their image, and that gets really interesting. The 3 main characters want to give elves more freedom, and being able to have the elves to do whatever they want, and making sure they're not being harmed by the monarchy ever again. Plus, along the way, it turns out that the situation's much worse. A lot worse, and it gets really interesting from there. And the first main character is Shimatsu. Now, turns out that he's one of the most popular historical figures in the past in Japan. Turns out that he died somewhere around the 1600s. Now, this one is very interesting and basically one of my favorite characters on the show. Now, even though he's decked out on his red armor from his battle in the past, well, let's just say that he's an honorable man and follows by the code of war, and it's really interesting, especially when either one of his comrades or one of his enemies die, he puts down the sword and just give it its respects. And even though he's an incredible swordsman in the battlefield, it turns out that he's the leader of the drifters, and basically his idea to basically change the world. And the next main character is Lord Nobunaga. Now he is, well, a really interesting guy too. It turns out in the past, prior to being drifted into the New World, it turns out that he was the warlord taking over and trying to unite Japan. Unfortunately, he died somewhere in 1582 due to forced suicide historically. So with Lord Nobunaga himself, well, he's the battle strategist in the anime, and he's making sure that, well, he keeps things in order while Shimatsu is battling off against the enemies. Turns out with Lord Nobunaga, well, he's kind of a dirty old man and kind of pervy. But turns out he's also kind of reckless too. Even though that he doesn't battle as much in the battlefield, turns out that he knows what to do. Even though he likes to collect elf poop for some reason. The next main character is Nashu no Yoshi. And it turns out with this character, it turns out that this one is an archer and it's 19 years old, so I find him really interesting. Historically, with Nasu, unfortunately he did some dishonorable things, and well, it's very saddening and very hurtful to them. But now, ever since he's been drifted to the New World, now he's being cautious of it, and he's been living by his word, making sure that his integrity is still being maintained. When Shimatsu got transported or drifted onto the New World, it is thanks to Nashu who helped him and saved him and healed him back to life to make sure, well, they find a common ground and trying to save the world.
Now, overall, what did we think about this anime? Well, it's definitely in our top 10 anime of this year because this anime is so badass, man, with its intro, and I highly recommend checking out the intro if you don't watch the anime. It's so badass and really underrated music because it just fits so well with the essence of this anime. Just the fact with all these historical figures from the past, whether it's from Japan, Rome, Greek, World War II, all these different eras of war, is so interesting because they all bring something different to the table. Now in the beginning of this anime with Shimatsu, Natsu, and Nobunaga, they're all from Japan but from different periods. Just seeing them having a conversation because they're talking to each other like, wait, didn't you die? And wait, are you part of that clan that's in the bum part of Japan? It's just hilarious when they talk about it, but also they all bring different tactics and motivations when it comes to war. Natsu, who's an amazing archer, there's one part where she's shooting arrow over arrow, which is pretty badass, and I've seen in different stuff before, but it's just seeing him do it, it's just pretty badass because he's so merciless when it comes to the enemy. He doesn't want any of the enemies to run away and just run in fear. No, he goes with his trained team of elf archers who, after he teaches them how to shoot arrows and be badass with a bow, they pretty much take out the enemies in such painful way. But then you got Lord Nobunaga, who's just badassery, just showing fear amongst the enemies and also showing fear with his own troops as well because he knows how to lead an army. Yes, he died in the past, but he's making up for it. He's learned from his flaws. And that's why he didn't make himself the leader. He knew that Shimatsu, who's always in battle, who only cares about war and just winning the battle, he lives the way of the warrior. And he knows that if Shimatsu's the leader, he knows how to win a war and lead an army to victory. One of my favorite scenes is when they infiltrate the enemy team's castle and they just bash a door where all the female elves were kept prisoners, and you just see all these enemy troops just doing evilish things to them. And originally Shimatsu was saying, no, these guys are unarmed, we shouldn't kill them. But when he walks into that door and see what they did to those female elves, his face just absolutely changed and is like, no, never mind, I take back what I said, we're gonna kill every single of these motherfuckers and make sure that they regret what they did. And just overall, all the other allies that they meet, which is an issue that I found with, because a lot of these other historical figures that they introduced, but they didn't really do anything further with them. For example, like this Japanese fighter pilot who was in the beginning shooting down dragons with his plane, and then he ended up just crashing. Nothing more is fleshed out with him, and I feel like that they should have done more with him. Or the other drifters that they introduced that brought in a Gatling gun that was so badass, or just this cowboy looking guy, or this mafia looking dude that just comes in and just guns people down, but no, they don't really do anything with them.
Basically, one of the issues that I have with this anime is basically they need to go more in detail with the stories or the origins between the guy that looks like the office worker and the girl that represents darkness that sends the ghost, or should I say ends, to the new reality. Just seeing these two in their own environment is very interesting, and I'm wondering if they even go into the new world themselves. And overall, everyone, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.
Overall, what did you guys think about this anime? We have our opinions, we want your opinions. And if you want to leave a recommendation of what should we watch next season there is a whole new wave, but if you guys want to leave a recommendation of what should we review for next season, feel free to leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like on this video. And if you want to share it to your friends who want to know more about this badass world of drifters and elves and all that awesome shit, be sure to share it to your friends.
And plus, if you guys really love written anime reviews and want to read more about it, well, I usually typically write one for every anime review. And I'll be sure to leave the link down below for you guys to read for yourselves.
If you want to watch the anime for yourself, well, be sure to leave a link below for you guys to watch this epicness go down between historical figures battling it out.
And overall, everyone, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time at the next average anime review. Take care! Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this week's average anime review. If you guys really enjoyed this week's anime review, then click that like button down below. And if you're new to the channel and want to see more anime reviews, then click that subscribe button down below. If you guys are new and want to see more anime reviews that we've done in the past, then click on the links on the left. And once again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a great day and take care.